Have you ever stopped and wondered why some people seem to move through life with an almost magnetic power, attracting success, wealth, and opportunity, while others, just as intelligent and hardworking, stay stuck in the same place year after year? It's not luck. It's not even talent. It's something deeper, something invisible that lives in the mind. 100 years ago, a young journalist named Napoleon Hill asked that same question. And what he uncovered would become one of the most powerful discoveries about the human spirit ever written. But before the book, before the fame, there was one moment that changed everything. Hill was sent to interview Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate and one of the richest men in the world at the time. Carnegie believed that success wasn't an accident. He believed it followed a formula, a secret law of the mind that anyone could use if they understood it. He looked at Hill and said, "If you dedicate your life to finding and sharing that formula, you'll be giving humanity its greatest gift." That single conversation set Hill on a 20-year journey. He interviewed over 500 of the world's greatest achievers: Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Alexander Graham Bell, Theodore Roosevelt, Charles Schwab, and dozens more. And what he found was shocking. Every one of them, despite coming from different backgrounds, education levels, and opportunities, followed the same mental principles. They all thought differently. They all believed differently. They all acted differently. And Hill would later distill those discoveries into a single timeless truth. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Those 11 words changed millions of lives, and they can change yours. Because this isn't just a book about making money. It's about mastering the power that builds empires, heals nations, and creates the future, the power of thought. But to truly understand it, you must start where every great success story begins, with desire. It always begins with a spark, that burning inner hunger that refuses to be silenced. Hill said, "The starting point of all achievement is desire." He didn't mean ordinary wanting. He meant an obsession so strong that it overrides fear, doubt, and failure. Think of Edwin C. Barnes, a man with no money, no connections, no education, but one unstoppable dream: to become a business partner with Thomas Edison. Barnes wasn't just wishing for it. He was consumed by it. He showed up uninvited at Edison's office, saying he wanted to go into business with him, not for him. Edison saw something in Barnes' eyes, a look of quiet determination that most people never possess. Barnes didn't get a partnership that day, but Edison gave him a small job. He took it with pride, working tirelessly and waiting for his chance. When Edison invented the dictaphone, none of his salesmen believed in it enough to sell it. Barnes did. He sold it with passion, and eventually became Edison's partner. Barnes had nothing except desire. But that desire turned him into one of Edison's most successful associates. That's what Hill meant when he said desire is the seed of all success. It's not talent or timing. It's intensity of wanting. Today we call that vision. Elon Musk had it when he decided to colonize Mars. Oprah Winfrey had it when she envisioned herself speaking to millions, even as a young girl in poverty. Desire isn't just wanting something. It's refusing to accept anything less. But desire without belief is a dream that dies in the dark. The second force Hill uncovered was faith. Faith is the bridge between thought and reality. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I don't see it yet, but I know it's coming." Hill wrote, "Faith is a state of mind which may be induced by autosuggestion." In other words, you can train yourself to believe. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between real and imagined. It simply acts on what it's told repeatedly. That's why Hill emphasized affirmations, visualization, and self-talk. He wasn't talking about wishful thinking. He was describing a process that modern neuroscience now proves true. Through repetition, the brain rewires itself to expect success instead of failure. Think of Henry Ford. Everyone laughed when he said he would build an engine that ran on gasoline and make it affordable to every American. His engineers said it was impossible. Ford told them, "Build it anyway." Years later, they did. Or think of the Wright brothers, who faced public ridicule for believing man could fly. Faith made them relentless. In our time, think of J.K. Rowling, living on welfare, typing Harry Potter in cafes while raising a child alone. She believed long before anyone else did. Faith is emotional certainty before evidence appears. Hill said you build it by repetition, by feeding your mind daily with words, images, and emotions that support your goal. If you keep saying, "I can't," your subconscious accepts it. But if you declare, "I will," over and over, your mind begins to find ways to make it true. That process of reprogramming the mind, Hill called it autosuggestion. He described it as the tool by which you feed the subconscious the exact thoughts you want it to act on. It's why Hill urged readers to write their definite goals, read them aloud twice a day, visualize them as already achieved, and let that belief shape every decision. He wasn't selling mysticism. He was teaching mental conditioning. Every champion athlete does this now. They visualize the win before the game. Every successful entrepreneur does it. They see their company thriving before it exists. The subconscious is a fertile field. Whatever you plant will grow. Plant fear, and you'll reap hesitation. Plant confidence, and you'll reap momentum. So Hill said, guard your mind like a treasure. Speak only what you want to see. Because every word you say is a seed, and every thought a blueprint for your future. But faith and desire must be backed by knowledge. Not just any knowledge, specialized knowledge. Hill warned that general knowledge, no matter how vast, is useless unless it's organized and applied toward a definite purpose. You can have 10 degrees and still be broke. But one sharp skill, applied with persistence, can make you wealthy. Henry Ford was often mocked for being uneducated. In one famous story, a reporter tried to humiliate him by asking a series of technical questions. Ford simply smiled and said, "I have a row of buttons on my desk. When I want to know something, I press a button and the right man answers my question." He didn't need to know everything. He needed to know how to find and direct knowledge. That's the difference between generalists and achievers. Thomas Edison wasn't a master of all science, but he mastered experimentation and teamwork, organizing bright minds to bring his ideas to life. In today's world, the same truth holds. You don't need to be a genius in everything. You just need to specialize, focus, and collaborate. If you're passionate about photography, design, coding, or teaching, master it deeply. Knowledge becomes power only when applied purposefully. Because, in the information age, execution beats education. But how do you apply knowledge creatively? Through imagination. Hill called imagination the workshop of the mind. Every invention, business, or movement begins here, in the unseen realm of thought. He identified two kinds of imagination, synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination combines existing ideas into new forms, like when Netflix turned DVD rentals into streaming. Creative imagination, however, connects with what Hill called infinite intelligence, the source of breakthrough inspiration. When Steve Jobs imagined a phone with no buttons, that was creative imagination. When Walt Disney dreamed of a land where adults and children could laugh together, that was creative imagination. It's the mind's power to see what doesn't yet exist, and to believe in it so strongly that the world has no choice but to follow. Imagination is the foundation of progress. Every dreamer who ever changed history started there. But imagination alone is only potential. Hill said it must be transformed into organized planning, the stage where thought becomes strategy. The truth is, ideas without plans fade like morning mist. That's why Napoleon Hill said every burning desire must harden into a definite plan, one that tells your mind and body what to do next. Most people never make that leap. They keep their goals vague. Someday I'll start a business. Someday I'll travel. Someday I'll write a book. But someday is a polite word for never. Hill noticed that the most successful people were builders of blueprints, even when those blueprints were crude at first. A weak plan executed boldly beats a perfect plan left on paper. Thomas Edison didn't wait for certainty before building the light bulb. He failed thousands of times. Walt Disney was turned down by bankers again and again before Disneyland existed even on a map. They failed forward, adjusting, refining, improving. Hill urged, Write your plan down. Organize every resource you have. Enlist others who believe in your goal. And keep testing until you win. If one plan fails, replace it with another. But never give up on the dream itself. Because life rewards the doer, not the dreamer. But even the best plans are worthless without decision. Indecision is the silent thief of opportunity. Hill found that successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while failures do the opposite. They hesitate, overthink, and let chances slip by. Henry Ford decided to produce his Model T in one color, black. Critics mocked him, competitors innovated around him. But that stubborn consistency created one of the greatest production revolutions in history. The truth is, hesitation kills momentum. You can't steer a parked car. You learn by moving, by adjusting as you go. Jeff Bezos made one decision that shaped Amazon forever: to prioritize long-term growth over short-term profit. That single conviction turned a garage startup into a global empire. So when you face a fork in the road, remember, not deciding is a decision too, and usually the wrong one. Fortune favors the bold. Still, no decision survives without persistence. Hill called it the iron quality of character, the difference between temporary defeat and lasting success. He wrote of R.U. Darby, a miner who gave up after digging 3 feet short of gold. The man who bought his mine struck the vein soon after. How many times have we all done the same, quitting just before the miracle? Walt Disney was fired from his first job because his editor said he lacked imagination. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before someone believed in his fried chicken recipe. Stephen King threw his first novel, Carrie, into the trash. His wife pulled it out and told him to try again. Persistence is what separates almost from finally. It's not glamorous. It's waking up early, failing again, facing embarrassment, and still showing up. It's a quiet resilience that keeps a dream alive when applause fades and no one's watching. Hill said, "Persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. It hardens resolve, turns failure into feedback, and gives birth to greatness." But persistence becomes unstoppable when combined with the power of association, what Hill called the mastermind. No one climbs alone. Every fortune, every breakthrough, every great idea has been born from the fusion of minds united in harmony toward a single goal. Henry Ford met regularly with Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, and other pioneers. They weren't competitors. They were collaborators in thinking. When one stumbled, the others lifted him. When one had a wild idea, the others refined it. Hill discovered that when 2 or more minds come together with definite purpose, a third invisible force is created, a kind of collective intelligence greater than any single brain. We see the same today. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak. Larry Page had Sergey Brin. The Beatles had each other. Partnerships built on shared vision amplify power. If you surround yourself with dreamers, thinkers, and doers, your life will expand to match theirs. If you surround yourself with doubters, complainers, and critics, your life will shrink to their level. Your environment is your invisible partner. Choose it wisely. Deep beneath all these principles lies the quiet machinery of the subconscious mind. Hill called it the connecting link between the conscious mind and infinite intelligence, the vast unseen field of possibility that responds to emotion and belief. The subconscious records everything: words, thoughts, fears, hopes, and acts like a faithful servant, turning dominant thoughts into reality. If you constantly say, "I'm broke, I'm unlucky, it's too hard," your subconscious accepts the command and builds a world to match. If you affirm, "I'm improving, opportunities are coming, I'm capable," it obeys that instead. Modern neuroscience confirms this. The subconscious governs more than 90% of behavior. It's the autopilot running your life. Change the programming, and you change the destination. That's why Hill's daily practice of affirmations, visualization, and gratitude wasn't superstition. It was self-reprogramming. He understood long before science did that emotion-charged thought is magnetic. Whatever you consistently feel and focus on, you move toward. So speak carefully, think deliberately, feel intentionally. You're sculpting your future with every inner sentence. The brain itself, Hill said, is more than tissue and nerves. It's a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. He believed ideas are a form of energy, vibrating at specific frequencies, attracting similar vibrations. Today, we might describe that as the reticular activating system, the brain's filter that notices whatever aligns with your dominant focus. You decide to buy a red car. Suddenly, you see red cars everywhere. You start believing you can succeed. Suddenly, opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere. They were always there. Your focus simply tuned you in. Hill wrote, "Every man is what he is because of the dominating thoughts he permits to occupy his mind." Change the broadcast, and you change the world that responds to it. Think abundance, and you'll see abundance. Think limitation, and you'll meet limitation. One of Hill's boldest ideas was the transmutation of sexual energy. He observed that many high achievers were people who learned to redirect the immense creative force of desire into productive channels. He wasn't preaching suppression. He was teaching redirection. Passion is raw energy, and energy can destroy or create, depending on where it's aimed. When channeled into art, business, invention, or leadership, it becomes the fuel of genius. Great composers, writers, and innovators often spoke of periods of intense emotional energy that birthed their finest work. Hill simply recognized that human vitality, when governed by will and purpose, turns into inspiration. Modern science might call this dopamine focus, transforming craving into drive. Whatever the name, the principle is eternal. Energy flows where attention goes. After all these steps, Hill reached the summit of his discovery, what he called the sixth sense, the mind's final gateway to infinite intelligence. This is intuition, that quiet whisper that speaks without logic. It's the nudge to make a call, to seize an idea, to walk through a door you didn't even plan to see. Hill claimed that when all other principles are mastered, when desire, faith, autosuggestion, knowledge, imagination, planning, decision, persistence, and alliance are aligned, intuition awakens. You begin to sense things before they happen. Thomas Edison described how ideas came to him from the ether. Einstein said his greatest insights arrived in flashes of imagination, not formulas. Oprah calls it her inner knowing. Steve Jobs called it connecting the dots backward. It's the universe whispering this way. And though Hill's language sounds mystical, the experience is common. When your conscious and subconscious minds work in harmony, intuition becomes your compass. You feel when to act and when to wait. To see these principles alive today, you don't have to look far. A young man named David once worked long hours at a warehouse, earning barely enough to survive. Every night he watched motivational videos, but never believed he could live differently. Then one evening he picked up Think and Grow Rich. He didn't just read it, he practiced it. He wrote down his definite goal, to build an online design business that earned him financial freedom. He repeated it daily, visualized clients emailing him, imagined invoices paid. At first, nothing happened. But 6 months later, one small client appeared, then another. 2 years later, he had quit the warehouse job and was teaching others how to do the same. His circumstances hadn't changed first, his mindset had. Or take Maya, a single mother who used Hill's lessons to rebuild her life after divorce. She stood in front of a mirror each morning repeating, "I am capable, creative, and resilient." Within a year, she had grown a freelance business that gave her the freedom she once thought impossible. These stories echo the same truth that carried Edison, Ford, Oprah, Musk, and countless others. Success begins inward, long before it becomes visible. Hill's genius wasn't in inventing new laws. It was in revealing ancient ones that have always governed human progress. He never promised instant riches. He promised transformation through disciplined thought. He showed that prosperity is not luck. It's the natural result of right thinking, right planning, and right persistence. Every skyscraper, every invention, every movement began as an invisible impulse in someone's mind. The world you see today was once just a collection of invisible thoughts. Maybe your idea, your dream, your vision is waiting for the same treatment, belief, planning, and relentless pursuit. Hill ends his message with a challenge that still echoes across generations. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because you control your thoughts. Think about that. Not your boss, not your family, not your government, you. Your mind is the one territory you fully command. And from that inner kingdom, every outward result flows. So guard it. Feed it with faith, desire, imagination, and courage. Refuse to dwell on failure. Refuse to rehearse limitation. Refuse to speak small about your own power. Because every time you think a thought, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you wish to live in. Maybe tonight, after this story ends, you'll look around your room and realize everything within reach. Your phone, your chair, the building you're in, began as someone's idea. The same creative force that built all of it lives inside you. So start where you are. Write your goal. See it. Believe it. Act on it every single day. Your thoughts are the architects of your tomorrow. Your belief is the engine. Your persistence is the bridge. And when doubt creeps in, because it always does, remember the words that started it all. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Think deeply, dream boldly, act fearlessly, and grow not just rich in money, but rich in purpose, in freedom, in life itself. Because the real wealth Napoleon Hill uncovered wasn't just in the bank. It was in the mind that dared to imagine more. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and join us for more wisdom that fuels growth.